at this point, let me say something about getting data from the internet. And I just closed the page. So we're going to go to finance.yahoo.com. And so one of the nice things about Yahoo is that it provides a lot of historical data on stocks and mutual funds and exchange-traded funds for free. And there are other sites where you can get free data. You can get data from Google and Microsoft Money and so on. For this course, I'm mostly used to Yahoo. I've been using it for a long time. And so we'll use Yahoo as well. So if you want to get information about a particular stock, let's say Microsoft, you have to know its ticker symbol. And I happen to know that Microsoft's ticker symbol is MSFT. But if you didn't know what it was, if you just typed Microsoft in here, then it would come down and give you the ticker symbol itself. So MSFT is Microsoft Corporation. And this is a publicly traded company. And what type of security is this? It's an equity, so it's a stock. And this is the exchange that it's traded on, the NASDAQ. This is the National Association of Security Dealers Automated Quoting System. And then, so there are two main stock exchanges in the US, the NASDAQ and the NYSE or the NYSE. NASDAQ stocks tend to have more younger companies, technology-oriented companies. The New York Stock Exchange tends to have more, established companies and so on. So if I want to get information about this particular stock, I type in its ticker symbol, and then you get a page that gives you current information about what's going on. And so the stock market is closed. The NASDAQ operates from 9:30 to 4, and so we see that we're after hours. So we're after the exchange has been closed at 6:17 Eastern time. Current price, or the last trade, was 24.63, and then you have previous close, the open price. When you have something called bid and ask, so there are dealers that hold an inventory in stock, and when you buy from the dealer, you buy at the ask price, and when you sell to the dealer, you sell at the bid price. And the bid-ask spread represents the profit to the dealer on a round-trip transaction. Now, for a lot of the stuff that we're going to do, we want to look at historical data on returns. And so one of the nice things about Yahoo is when you go over to the left-hand side here, you see this section on historical prices. So we can click on that. And you're given this table view where you can set your date range for wherever you want to get data. And you can look at the frequency, daily, weekly, monthly, or just get the dividend information by itself. You can't get intraday data by Yahoo now, but you can get intraday data directly through the New York Stock Exchange. They have a database called Trades and Quotes. It's not free, though. But the University of Washington has a license for the database. And so through the University of Washington license, you can get access to the intraday data for free. But you have to go through a different web-based system to get it. We're going to be mostly working with monthly data. So we can click on monthly. And then I can get prices. And you'll get a table that looks like this. So again, this is monthly. So this is the so you get a date that's June 1st. The open. So this is the price at the first trading day of the month. This is the high over the month. This is the low over the month. This is the price at the last current trade. So 24.63. So this is the price when the NASDAQ closed today at 4 o'clock. You have the average volume. So this is the number of shares that were transacted, 56,712,000. So you can see a huge amount of activity. Now there's this thing called the adjusted close. The adjusted close is the closing price adjusted for dividends and stock splits. So if Microsoft paid a dividend today, that would get added to the adjusted close. So that's PT plus DT. Whereas the closing price is just PT. It doesn't include the dividend. All right. This adjustment also, so you can see at this information also tells you on February 15, 2001, Microsoft paid a 16-cent dividend per share. And then, so on this particular date, the closing price and the adjusted closing price would be different, and it'd be different by this dividend amount. Okay. Okay. So there's another thing here. So on this date, February 18, 2003, there was a 2-for-1 stock split. That means every shareholder of Microsoft receives an additional share. So now there's twice as many shares of stock outstanding. So correspondingly, the price of Microsoft stock on that date gets cut in half, right? Now, if you're just watching the stock price and you see it trading at 100, then all of a sudden you see it trade at 50, you might think, holy shit, what happened, right? If you didn't know there was a stock split, you might think Bill Gates died or something like that. But that's why it's important to take a look at these institutional things. And if you know there's a stock split, then you know that the price going from 47 to 23 is due to the 2-for-1 stock split and not because of some bad event. Now the adjusted closing price, notice that in the adjusted closing price, you don't see this big jump in price. So what happens when the stock split happens, all previous prices are divided by 2. So the data going backwards gets adjusted for the fact that you have this stock split, so that when you look at the adjusted closing prices, when splits happen, you don't see these big drops in prices. So the prices are split adjusted as well. So in our analysis, we'll always make use of data that's been adjusted for dividends and stock splits because we don't want to have to do these adjustments manually ourselves. Okay? And this is a very important feature when you start dealing with your own data is to know these types of things. All right, so once you have all this data, how do you get it into your computer? If you go all the way down to the bottom of this table, there's this Download to Spreadsheet tab. And so you can click on this, and I can choose Save As. And then you open that up, and then here's the data. So we see that when you download the data, you have the date, open, high, low, close, volume, and adjusted close. Now, for our purposes, we're going to essentially do most of our analysis on this last column. So we can get rid of all these other things in between. So you would just go and highlight these things and then delete them. And so now I have my date and my adjusted close. Now, one of the things about this is that notice that the most recent date is first. And so usually when you look at time series data, it's the not the most recent date, but the earliest date is first. And then so time runs forward when you go down. When you look at this thing, the data, the time is running backwards, right? So to do analysis, we need to reverse the ordering of the data. So when you download it here, to reverse the ordering of the data, we can highlight both columns like that. And then notice that there's this sort filter. I believe that that's right. And we want to go from oldest to newest. And so now we have the earliest date up at top, and time is now running forward. Okay. So this is important to recognize when you're downloading data from Yahoo. Go through this, get rid of the data that you don't want to have, make sure that time is running in the right direction, and so now you're ready to do various computations. Another thing about Yahoo data to pay attention to is that notice that we only have, this is the price Microsoft starting trading in 1986 at 8 cents. Now that's the adjusted closing price. That's been adjusted for stock splits, right? So the actual price in 1986 wasn't 8 cents. Now there's Yahoo only keeps 2 decimals of information. So the split adjusted data actually, if you had more accuracy, then you really like this to go out to more digits. So there's some artificial rounding that's taking place in the price data. And so that's, again, a feature of what Yahoo does. And again, you need to be aware of these kinds of things. That could have an impact in terms of analysis, because if you calculate returns, all these prices are the same. They're going to give you the same returns from month to month. And that's saying you got 0 return here, but if you had more digits of accuracy, then you actually might have non-zero returns. So you have to be careful.